Hello, everybody on YouTube. This is my first time going live on here, and I just thought I'd give it a try. I usually go live in my Facebook group, but that hasn't been working out so much lately. And then I usually post it right on here. And so I decided that I would go live here and test it out and see how I like it. So far, it's pretty cool. I have my notes with me. So I'm new at this. So if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. If I don't see them right away, because like I said, I'm new at this, I will answer them after I'm done. Okay. So today I'm talking about in the past couple of weeks, so the past 3 weeks, I've been talking about choosing yourself, putting yourself first so that you can put your best self into the world. And this week I'm talking about knowing what you really want. And there's a reason that you need to know what you really want. So, um, you ha- a lot of us are spending a lot of time like doing being last week I talked about being judged by how productive you are in society. And I asked you to tune into yourself and ask yourself, is this what I want to be doing? Is this is this something I love? Is this something I'm proud of? Does this make me feel like I have purpose? So depending on how you're spending your time, asking yourself these questions. And if you're not feeling these things at all, then it's time to make some changes. So it's about interrupting that robot like doing what society expects of us. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking. And start paying attention to your needs first. Because when you do this, when you pay attention to your own needs first, um, all of society benefits because you'll be putting your best self out into the world, your best work, your best creations, right? So it's time for you to start making small shifts towards the things that you love. So instead of spending like 75% of your life serving another person, company, or corporation, and I'm not saying that it's not okay to do things for other people. What I'm saying is focusing on yourself first so that you can put your best self into the world for these other people, but spending the majority of your life working for another person, company, or corporation who sometimes does not contribute to our community at all. It's time to flip flop that number so that you're spending this time on the things that you love and the people that you love, putting it back into your community. And now that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? It's like it makes perfect sense, but most people are going to be like, right, Tina. Okay, like I have to work. I have to work two jobs. I have these kids and I have to do this. I have to pay my bills and I have to buy food, and food costs like as much as my mortgage payment now, and blah blah blah. There's so many things, and I know there is a lot. But when you do this for yourself, you will have more energy, you'll have less stress, you'll have less anxiety, you'll have better health. And in turn, this energy will be put back into the world and your community. So, right now, there's a large number of people working hard, stressed out, living like paycheck to paycheck, struggling, and not having much time to enjoy for themselves a little bit. And a lot of times, when they get to that point where they have that time, they're tired and they just want to sit there and just like watch, scroll on social media or watch like numbing TV because they're just so exhausted from putting themselves out into the world in a certain way that's not aligned with themselves, right? So, what are we doing this for? I guess you have to ask yourself that question. And I asked you, I think 2 weeks ago, to like tune into yourself and ask yourself these questions. And last week I talked about, are you tired of being judged for how productive you are, that those expectations of society? And I give you practical ways that you could move forward that are easy and small steps so that they're not overwhelming. And I'm going to do the same thing today. So now I know it sounds impossible to make the shift, especially if you're a person who's stuck in this chaotic type of society where you're like doing, working, but not getting much back in return. Um, and maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck, and maybe you have that stress, and maybe you don't have health care. And there's so many things right now that put a lot of pressure on us as people. But there is a way out, and that way is by taking small, tiny little steps, shifts at a time. One small shift at a time, one small change, right? All of these done consistently over time make these big changes. So you just need to take these little tiny little steps, leave these little crumbs that can shift your life in these little turns, little ways, but over time they make really, really big changes. So, when you're making shifts in the direction of your dreams, you stumble on other opportunities and things that you could never imagine that would come into your life, because if you're not even making those shifts, then those things aren't going to come into your life. So you're not even going to be awake enough to notice the opportunities that come into your life because you're so stressed out and you're doing all these things for other people, right? So sometimes that shift could probably look like, trying a new hobby, right? Then maybe while you're trying that new hobby and that spare 5 minutes that you have that weekend, meeting new people that have the same interests, and in turn this could land you a new job in that same industry. But if you never make that small change, you never shift in that direction. Now this is a very vague an example, but what I'm saying is I want you to notice what I'm saying. Like, one shift puts you, so your life is going this way, it's going in a straight line, right? And when you make, and you're just like working, 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 you're stressed out. So you're moving along, you're like working, 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 you're miserable, or you're just like not impressed. You're just like, is this it? This is all? And you're just going and going, but you want to change things. You don't know what to do. So Tina says, make a small shift. So you make a small shift and you start going that way. And you're like, oh, okay, that feels good. Another small shift. Okay. Okay, just keep going. So instead of keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you're going to make little shifts so that maybe new things will pop into your life. It could look like volunteer work once a month at a dog shelter. Maybe you love animals and how much love that you can bring into the world and into your life. It could be submitting your artwork or your photography to a competition. Maybe you love doing art, but you just don't feel like you have the time to do these things. It could be starting a garden. It could be taking a new course to learn something new, and meeting new people in there and being exposed to new people, learning a new language to a place that you want to visit. Maybe your dream is to go to Italy or to go to wherever, Japan, and you want to learn that language, right? So you're just going to make those little shifts in that direction, learn the language, learn about their culture, learn about their food, learn about the places, write down all the places you want to visit. These are tiny little shifts that you can make that start pushing it. Join a Facebook group. Join a Facebook group. People that want to visit Japan. There's a Facebook group for everything, right? So start making these little shifts, okay? All of these things, once you choose to make the shift in your life, take you in a new direction. They all lead to new opportunities, new friends, sometimes new careers, new experiences for sure. The one key factor in all of this, though, is that you have to know what you want. And not just like, oh, I want something better, like in detail. None of this vagueness, right? Imagine you were going to like a restaurant that had like a food counter, right? And so you decided, I'm hungry. I'm going to go order something. And you went up there and you just said, they said, okay, what would you like? And you just said, oh, I don't know. Just give me something good. Now, would you get what you wanted? Well, maybe, possibly. I mean, maybe you'll get lucky, but maybe you won't. Maybe the person behind the counter said, oh, she wants something good. Well, I love carrots, so I'll give her carrots. And then you hate carrots, right? So the key here is it's better to know. Sorry about that. I'm scrolling on my notes. It's better to know what you want, right? It's better to know what you want so that when you place your order, you get what you want. So the big question is, what do you really want? And I'm going to give you an exercise, of course. And of course, it's going to be a journaling exercise. Of course, it always is. Let me just move this. Okay. So, like, I don't know if any of you ever do live stuff like this, but can I just say that this right here is driving me crazy. It's so distracting. This is why I love podcasting, because you don't see yourself. I wish I didn't have to see myself when I went live, because that's just throwing me off. I must have slept funny on my hair. Okay. So anyway, moving forward without trying to look at that one piece of hair. So in this exercise, I want you to journal the answer. For those of you who know me, every time I do something every week, I almost always have a journaling exercise. And if you listen to my podcast, and you should, I love doing my podcast. You know that every week I give you journaling prompts. So you can download the journaling prompts for each episode and have those to work on. So this is what I want you to do. What do you really want? So here we go. Let's pretend that you found a time machine and you could go 1 year into the future and see what your life looked like in that future. And it was amazing. You had everything that you ever wanted, everything you ever dreamed of. You were doing things that you always dreamed of doing. It was so exciting. You were so happy, right? Now you did that and you traveled back and you're telling everyone in your life what it looked like. You were like, you're not going to believe this. I found a time machine and I went a year into my future and you're not going to believe what I was doing, right? And you're going to write everything down. You're going to write it down like it already happened. Um, what 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 you looked like, what you were doing, what you were wearing, where were you living, who were you with, who you were spending time with, where did you travel to, what are the fun things that you were doing, what have you learned, what were the things that you were doing for other people, how were you giving back, like write it all down, like all of it. And as if it was a story that it's something that already happened. This is what I did for the past year. It was so cool. This is what I did for the past year. So, this is what you want to journal out and be honest, be adventurous, have fun with this. It's supposed to be fun, right? These exercises are not supposed to be hard to do. They're supposed to be fun. They shouldn't take it shouldn't take you that long, but if you have a ton of stuff you want to do, then maybe it will. I'm not going to judge. I just want you to have fun with it. Don't not have fun with it. Now, after you're done, I want you to pick out some of the things. Maybe just take a highlighter pen so you don't have to write so much. What's different about this life a year into the future and your life now? Just like highlight all the differences, right? And that might be everything. Everything might be different. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with this. There's no like right or wrong way to do this. This is just supposed to empower you. It's supposed to help you figure out what you really want and where you really want to go, right? So then you're going to write it out at least 20 small baby shifts that you can make over the next couple of weeks that might help you shift in the direction of this new life. And so, okay, let's pick something crazy. Like, all right, I'm going to say I have the number one podcast in the health category. I don't know what all the categories are. I think my podcast is in alternative health, right? There wasn't one that really fit perfectly. So I think that's what it's in. So I have the number one podcast in alternative health. I would be so thrilled if that happened. And so I'm not even close to that right now. So what would I do to shift that? Do I think it can happen? Yeah, of course it can. Like, do I think it'll happen in a year? It could, but what shift do I have to make from this point where I'm at right now to make that happen? One small shift I can make is like an exposure shift. So I could start having guests on my podcast because I'll get more exposure, or I could start asking people that are aligned with me to share it more, or different things like that. So there's these little shifts. So I could write down 20 things just for the podcast. So, but I'm asking you to just write 20 things that pertain to this story that you've created, this new life. So, what's next, you ask? Of course, you know what's next. Start adding these shifts into your life on a regular basis. And I would go as far to like I know everybody always has their best intentions to do stuff, but we never do them. So like do this exercise, write the shifts down and start a daily journal practice. If, at the very least, just write down what you're grateful for every day. But then you could also write one small shift. This is what I do on my journal. I write, what's my small shift today? Right? So what's my small shift? My small shift is actually does pertain to my podcast, and I'm testing out the software I need to do a guest podcast. So I've tested it out once without success, so I have to do it again. So that is my shift for today. And so every day I write one small shift. So can you see how that can shift my direction? But if I didn't make those shifts and I didn't pay attention to what I really wanted, I would still keep going along. Would I have success with my podcast? Maybe. Would it be slower? Most definitely, right? So, but I want to make it happen faster, or I want to really have fun with it. I want to make these shifts. Like, what would be fun? What would make the help? What would help me go in this direction and would be fun? And that would be guests, right? Just having all those guests on the podcast would be so much fun. So you have to actually do the work or it doesn't work. And you could see it's so simple. Like if you just keep going, you just keep going in that straight line. If you don't make any shifts, sometimes other people will make the shifts for you. I want you to do this. Well, I want her to do this. Well, I want her to do this. Well, I want her, like, so like not setting those boundaries and having other people decide what they want for you will make shifts in your life, but they won't always be the shifts that you want. So take charge, figure out what you want, and then add those small little shifts into your life every day. Okay, so remember, small shifts done consistently over time make big changes. So I want to point out that consistency matters a lot. It really, consistency matters with everything. Oh, and another thing, if it doesn't work out, like if you do something and you fail, so to speak, I don't think there's any such thing as failure. Or I should say there is such thing as failure, but the definition that people give failure is wrong. Okay? Because failure is just a lesson. It's just a cue for you to shift, or it's a cue for you to learn something. That's all it is. It doesn't mean you have to stop. Just move on to the next thing. Don't stop. Keep going always. Always keep going. And I want you to practice saying, oh, well, next. What's next? Like that didn't work. Oh, well, what's next? And every time you fail, I want you to say that. Failures are just lessons, right? They're redirections in your life, and we're supposed to learn from them. So learn from it, move forward, shift. Do not dwell in it. Do not stay there. So, what about you? What do you really want? Okay. I would love for you to share it with me in the comments below, or you could just message me privately. I just would love to hear what you came up with. What's your first shift? You could just share with me what your first shift is. That would be magical. I would love that. So send me a message, or send me a message. You could put it in the comments just to put it out into the world. I'm going to put this out into creation now so that this starts to come towards me. I start attracting things like this to me. Okay. So I have a free 2023 Soul Aligned Self Care Workshop series coming up. It's completely free. You only sign up once. I'm going to be doing 5, not workshops, masterclasses. I'm going to be doing 5 masterclasses throughout the whole year. And once you sign up, you get access to all of them. You'll get emailed and notified when one is released. So I'm going to put that link in the show notes so you could see it. And I would love for you to join me in that. It's going to be super, super epic. I'm going to have so much fun with it. Okay, guys, that is all for today. I kind of like going live here, except for that piece of hair. But anyway, I will see you next week. I'll be either live here, or I will be posting my live replay. Okay, bye.